Go.
We're here today to talk about gauges and simple means that we can take to extend the life of a pressure gauge. When one would go through an audit in a process plant, we typically could find a minimum of 20% of the gauges have failed or are misapplied. Two of the biggest culprits that can shorten the life of a gauge is pulsation and vibration. Pulsation is the internal surge typically found on pump applications where the pressure surges inside the board-on tube of a gauge. This pulsation effect can be combated by the use of a throttle plug, pulsation dampener, or a pressure snubber, and even a throttling valve. The second most common gauge killer is vibration. Vibration is the physical shaking of the gauge itself and typically is found on any kind of rotating equipment such as turbines, generator sets, or compressors. As of today, Ashcroft has introduced a new means of dampening the effects of vibration and pulsation with a product that they call DuraGauge Plus. What we have here is a compressor that will generate some pulsation and some vibration. On the left is a liquid fill gauge, on the right is a gauge that is unprotected. There's no means of arresting pulsation or vibration. You can see the effect of the pointer flutter due to vibration and pulsation on the gauge on the right. The gauge on the left is liquid filled. To quiet that pointer, we're essentially dragging the pointer through the body of that filled fluid. On the right, you're seeing the action of both the pulsation and the vibration. Whenever the pointer flutters like that, the gears in the internal gears are working and wearing. So it's important to quiet the pointer down, and we use liquid fill gauge on the left to do that. You can see how the pointer is dampened and much more fluid on the liquid fill gauge than the gauge on the right. And you can see how the gauge on the left with the liquid fill would last a lot longer than the dry gauge. What I'm going to do is take off the liquid fill gauge and put on the DuraGauge with the DuraGauge Plus feature to demonstrate an alternate to the liquid fill. So now on the gauge on the left, we have the DuraGauge Plus with the Plus feature, along on the right with the standard gauge that is dry and no protection. You can see how the DuraGauge Plus is smooth and acts similar to the action that we saw on the liquid fill gauge. The important thing is that there is no fill that we have to keep captive in the Plus gauge. You can see that the pointer action is smooth starting and stopping compared to the dry gauge. Now, how do we do that? On the Plus feature, instead of dragging the pointer through that body of fill fluid, we have a cartridge with a heavy grease. The pinion shaft goes through this cartridge and we attach the pointer to that shaft. And so essentially we're dampening the pointer shaft to quiet the pointer flutter. Therefore, the gears on the gauge will work less. So here again, the gauge on the left is the Plus. And you can see how smooth it acts versus the dry gauge on the right. Typically, we will find that a Plus gauge will last twice as long as a standard dry gauge. So by simply adding the features of the Plus, we can at least double the life of a standard gauge. Typically, a liquid-filled gauge is more expensive and does have the problems of leaking and disposal and mess, where the Plus can extend the life of the gauge similar to a liquid-filled, but we don't have to capture the fill fluid.